Hey, this is Solid Snake, and you're listening to Droids Canada. So, pay some damn attention.
This is David Faustino.
Hello, this is Andrew Chalmers, the writer and doctor in Doctor Who Dark Journey.
This is Dr. Stevo.
Everybody, this is the Cavernator.
This is Inspector Gadget.
Hey, what's cracking, y'all? It's your boy J-Rock.
Good evening, folks. This is James Duval.
This is Jeremy Taggart.
This is Kim Possible.
I'm Chris Holden-Reed.
Hey, this is Pat Mastroianni from Degrassi.
This is the evil Dr. Bad Vibes.
Again, this is Nessie Bear. And this is more from X-Men.
Hey, this is Andrew Gazzess.
This is Sean Gunn.
Hi, this is Robert Carradine.
It's Tammy Stronach from The Neverending Story.
Hey, it's Zach Callison.
Hey, I'm DJ Jenny Rock.
And I'm Neil Young.
I'm Commander Shepard. Ralph Garman here. You're listening to Droids Canada. You've made an excellent choice. You have chosen wisely.
Warning. Listener discretion is advised.
That means there's a lot of fucking swearing.
Hello.
How's it going?
There's water if you'd like.
Thank you, sir.
And there's mine.
Oh.
All right.
You guys having a good time? Yeah. I guess we can, do we need this? You can hear me, right?
Do you want to go mic? You want to go off mic?
You guys hear me okay? Yeah, okay.
Let's do that.
Let's keep it informal.
Keeping it informal. Now, everyone having a good time in Nickel City here? Yeah. Awesome. So, we got a little time on stage. My name is Dan. I'm with a show called Droids Canada, based out of Niagara, Canada. Nice pop culture podcast show. And I was asked to do the panel with Jason Faunt, the Red Ranger. Now, this is the Red Ranger from Time Force, Season 9.
Yes.
Now, with that, I came into this interview not knowing as much, knowing a little bit about Power Rangers, and the more and more research that I did on Power Rangers, it seems like this is more than just a show, that it's kind of a fraternity.
Yeah.
Now, how was it getting involved with this? What was the audition process like?
Well, it was funny because at the time I was doing, I was in a couple different soap operas, and Power Rangers called me in for the Lost Galaxy season. I read for that, didn't get it. A year later, they called me back in again to read, and I'm thinking, okay, this is cool. They called me back in again. Maybe there's something here. Didn't get it. And then finally, the third time they called me back again, I thought, this is crazy. They keep bringing me back, but they keep turning me down. Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? So, read for the Time Force season. Thank God I got that role because I really enjoyed the fact that, that season they were really going after strong actors. Obviously, I played two different roles in that. And but the process was long. By far the longest audition I've ever had. I think it probably was 5 auditions over 3 months. So it's like you go in and 2-3 weeks go by, you're like, get it again. And then they call you back. And then so no other audition that I've ever booked took that long to do. But they really took their time finding the role of Wes. They were really looking all over the place for that character. And fortunately, I was the guy to get it.
And what type of background did you need to have to be able to even do these auditions? Because it's so much more than just acting. You have to have the acting. You have to have the family friendliness about you as well. Mm-hmm. And of course the athletic background, everything from, dance to sports to martial arts. Like what type of background do you have that helped you succeed in that?
Well, I trained in Jeet Kune Do for years, and then I've been an athlete my whole life. So I think when they did our season, though, they were so big on having the acting chops that we actually didn't have any physical physical testing for the audition. Back in the original cast, they were getting stuntmen and gymnasts. Amy Jo Johnson's a gymnast, so they wanted everyone who could move first, act second. Not that they were all great actors, but they looked at the physical side first. Whereas our season was all about the acting side first, and then of course they took us through a crash course of on-screen fighting. But it was all about our acting in our season.
Mm-hmm. Now, you land this role, so this is the lead in this Power Rangers. Mm-hmm. Now, there's been many other Red Rangers before you. Uh-huh. Was there any type of passing of the torch or advice that was given to you from previous Red Rangers?
No. And it was interesting because when I had gotten the role, I was very familiar with the show, but I think I didn't realize, because I was in college at the time it started, how big the show was. Inside the halls of where we filmed in LA, there was like this wall of fame, so you could see the previous generations on the walls. And I had not met any of those guys until the Red Ranger reunion, which is the one that we did. So I hadn't met him, hadn't spoken to him. And then during the Red Ranger reunion, we had a few days filming, it was like 3 days to film that episode. So during that time, we were all at a hotel hanging out together, having dinner, and got a chance to know them a little bit better. And the friendships, of course, started to cultivate. It's only now with these conventions where we're, one convention I'm going to be with 2 or 3 Rangers, and then maybe in 2 weeks I'll be with another 2 or 3. So now we've all become very, very close friends. And now when the new cast comes in, now we give words of advice to them. A lot of times I'll meet the new cast before anyone else knows that they even exist, before they start their journey, and let them know kind of what they're embarking on. But I had no previous, didn't speak to anyone before that, but now it's a very big fraternity.
Is there a new Power Rangers series in the works?
Well, they're finishing up Beast Morphers now. Everyone's seen Beast Morphers, a few of us, right? Yeah. And I met those guys. They usually introduce the new cast at Power Morphicon every year. So I usually will meet them and sit down and kind of, I'm very close to the producers and talk to them about, what journey they're about to embark on, and how they won't realize how important this is, but they will realize it after the show's over, which is interesting. Because for Power Rangers, they announce the new cast and they're filming before the world even knows who they are. And so they're pretty much doing this in relative obscurity. And then after the show is done, it's only when you start doing these conventions how big you realize the show is and how you've impacted so many lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Having your own convention with that as well, like the conventions I know that are very specific. You have your Walker Stalker for Walking Dead. I understand there's a Supernatural one that does touring a little bit after like 250 seasons, of course. But with the Morphicon?
Yep.
Now they do that every year?
Every other year.
Every other year?
Yeah.
And whereabouts is that held?
That's in now it's in Anaheim, California. That's every other year. But this year they just Jason David Frank, who some of you met last year, who you all know, of course, he started who partnered with Power Morphicon, do Power Morphicon Express. And the goal of that is for everyone that can't fly to LA, where it's very expensive, the hotels. We're going to start bringing this to different cities. And I think there was probably 15, 20 of us that were at this Power Morphicon Express in Texas, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it was a hit. It's a huge hit. So hopefully they're going to start bringing that thing around and get to the Northeast up here. That's the goal, is to start hitting different areas.
Excellent, excellent. Now, we are doing a little more of an intimate style talk here today. If anyone does have any questions, just give me a little.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, for your season, what was your favorite monster?
I don't know. I'm a big fan of Rancic. I like Rancic. Vernon's great. Has anyone met Vernon Wells? No, not yet? Oh, okay. Well, we're going to get the Time Force cast out as much as we can to these things. So for me, Rancic, Vernon's great. He's done a ton of Hollywood bad guy movies, so it was cool to be able to work alongside him.
When you did the team up with Wild Force, do you think that 2-part episode was a good ending for the Time Force saga, when it pretty much cleared up all the loose ends with Rancic and his daughter and all the newborns and all that stuff? Do you think that was a good ending for that?
Yeah, I think so. People always, I think, wanted a little bit more closure with the Wes and Jen relationship, because they kind of hinted at the fact that I came back, but they didn't, or she came back, I should say, but they didn't really put full closure on what happened. But I thought they did. They answered some good questions. Power Rangers is it's such an amazing franchise. It's very few shows have had as much success as that show has had over now 25 years. So now you've got parents watching it with their kids, and it's amazing how they've continued to just resurge this franchise. And but there is a formula they'd like to follow. So a lot of times it'll drive us crazy, because as our fans get older, we want the material to age with it a little bit, and they try to do that, but they still want to stick to what keeps them successful. So based on the framework that the upper tier will tell us to stay within, I think they did a good job kind of tying everything up. Yeah.
How did you feel about the Wes and Jen relationship?
In terms of how it ended, or how it
was started and how it ended?
I think it was really cool. I haven't seen every episode of Power Rangers. I know a lot about the different seasons, but it was a very complex relationship, and it was very cool what they did. I mean, right? Her fiance gets killed. She goes back in time and meets his, someone that looks, that's a descendant of him, and refalls in love with this person. So I thought the story was really well done. I thought Aaron did a great job, kind of battling those emotions. I think at the end, I would have rather that she chose to stay with Wes, because that's kind of the whole thing. The whole series was based on you can choose your own destiny. You can choose to be what you want to be. And they kind of did that the whole season, but at the end that didn't pay off like that. So it would have been nice if she stayed back with him, or they clarified she went back to Alex. And but I think the ending I would have had her stay. Yeah.
Gentleman in the back.
If you saw the Japanese version, was there anything in their show you wish you could have done on Time Force?
Didn't Dan die in that?
Yeah, he did.
He did die. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool, and because I think we've always had a history of most television and film where just at the very end it all works out. Everything just gets, everything comes back. So I think sometimes it's good when you mix in some real life, and Eric dies saving my life. I mean, how heroic would that have been? But in the American version, they weren't ready to go as far as the Japanese version did. But I think it would have been good to have some real life deaths to kind of really maximize the emotional ride of that show, for sure.
So obviously you were Time Force, but you've said you saw a lot of the other series. What is your favorite series other than obviously your own? But
I don't know. I mean, I guess you got to go with Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, I would say.
When you see them, you could tell that the show is grown. I mean, obviously back in the 90s, television didn't have the same special effects as they do now. But Mighty Morphin started it all, and those guys really paved the way for the opportunities that people like me have. So I'm always very thankful to those guys. I mean, they didn't, so they just kind of kicked it off and opened the door for people like me. So probably Mighty Morphin.
Good answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of caveat off his. Since you said you met previous Rangers from the past before your show, did you have any influence in meeting the live action ones that did the Hollywood movie that came out a couple of years ago? Did you have any influence in that? Because I know Amy Jo Johnson and Jason David Frank were actually in the show, or in the movie.
Yeah.
But did you have any part in that as far as helping out and getting them to become the Rangers that they were in the movie?
No, we were completely removed from that. Matter of fact, I've never met those guys. No, that's not true. We met RJ. He was at Power Morphicon. I've met RJ a couple times, once out in Hollywood and once at the event. But yeah, in terms of meeting them on set or anything like that, no. I think the movie got taken over by a different, the TV and the film business is very different in Hollywood. So the film side came in and they did that, and I'll be curious to see what Hasbro does. I think they recognize that the fan base just loves the original. They like seeing these reunion things. So I think they're recognizing that, and it'll be interesting to see what they have in store going forward. Yeah.
Sir.
In the episode Forever Red, when we were talking about that, meeting all the past Rangers, at the end of the episode, were you guys just like improvising all that banter about Tommy when Cole said that's what the greatest Ranger that ever lived? And y'all were like, there was president of his fan club, and he was kissing Kimberly when I was saving the world, like all that. Was that all ad-libbed? Or was
no, that was all scripted.
Really?
The only thing that was ad-libbed is Dan did that dinosaur thing. And you can see in the thing, it's so out of his character. So when he did it, I just started laughing because what is he doing? I mean, Dan's always so serious, and so is his character. So, but all that was, that was all written in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know this is kind of a weird question, but did you get a chance to meet Bulk and Skull?
In real life?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a bunch of times. They're two of my favorites. I've been all over the world with those guys. I was just with them at Power Morphicon Express, but I was just in London with them, I don't know, a couple months ago, right babe? A couple months ago we were with them. So, Bulk and Skull, yeah, they are two of my favorites. And they couldn't be more opposite of their characters. They are just two of the most intellectual, knowledgeable guys, and a lot of fun to be around. Yep.
Talk about team ups. What was your favorite team up that you did?
I don't know. I enjoyed this last the last one we just did, the 25th anniversary special. I enjoyed that. I thought it came back. I mean, I was a bigger part of that one, which of course I selfishly like, right? But so I was a bigger part of it, and they did some answers on the grid and how the different ranges exist in different universes, and so I think the last one probably was my favorite, and it's because of the most recent.
The gentleman in the back.
I read there was supposed to be a Time Force theatrical movie. Is there any insight you can shed on that? Did you guys get any information on what that was going to be about, or was it just talked about and then it never materialized?
I've heard that before, and I was told recently that they really, they went through this formula of just always bringing a new cast back, which helps do a number of reasons for them doing that, and mostly because to keep costs down. You're bringing in a new talent, but when you start bringing back the same cast, the fans really love them and expect them back. So I was told that our cast got along so well. We were just, and I can't speak to the other cast, but we just all got along like family. Just no drama. Every day was great, and they sat down and they said, "Hey, we should consider bringing them back. This just worked. The formula worked well. It brought it back on the map. It was the season, put Power Rangers. It was just a real great year." And then they talked about it for a second, and they decided just to move on. But it was a conversation to do the movie. There was a conversation to bring us back. I never knew that, but I was told that did happen.
To touch upon the closeness of the cast that you have,
I
have seen a lot of interviews where cast members pop in and always talk about how good-looking you are. Is that an inside thing that you guys kind of have going on?
I just tell them how good-looking I am. If I just keep saying it, then that just makes them believe it. No, we're all a very close cast, so I think there's just part of the things that we joke about, and that's probably one of the things I joke about, and so they're probably joking at me, joking at myself, is my guess. But it's a very tight-knit group.
No, it does look like a lot of fun that you guys do have together.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With Forever Red, the legendary battle, 25th anniversary, are you continuing to be the forefront for it? Or will we see you again?
For which one? For the Forever.
Forever Red, the legendary battle, and 25th anniversary. Will we see you again at the forefront on TV?
Oh, for another reunion? Hopefully. They've brought me back a lot, and I think that what probably will happen is they'll just recognize that they're going to start bringing back. I do know they will do more reunion stuff. I can tell you that. So you won't be disappointed. I don't know in what way, but I know that there will be more stuff. But my guess is they're going to start to really dive into ones that have not come back yet. And I think that's good for the fans, and it's good for the actors too. So, even though I'd love to keep coming back, but probably it'll be a while for me.
Can I ask two questions real quick?
Yeah, buddy.
Do you know what roles you were up for in both Lost Galaxy and Lightspeed?
The Red Ranger.
Oh, for both of them?
Yep.
And also, what was it like working with the two different crews, like the New Zealand crew and the American crew from your own season?
Ironically, a lot of the guys they brought over. There was a lot of the same DPs, and I think the main roles, the guys that were the DPs, the camera guy, the assistant directors, all the decision makers, all were in New Zealand. So it was kind of cool going back and seeing all them. All the other, I don't want to say smaller roles behind the camera, were all New Zealand. Most people were Kiwis for that. But a lot of the decision makers were brought up from LA. Yep.
Now, being in this huge franchise, how recognizable are you in everyday life? How often do you get the, oh my God, it's the Red Ranger?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Probably, it depends. A lot of times I have facial hair, and I realize when I have that, it doesn't happen at all. But usually every week or so, we'll be somewhere, And my girlfriend and I have a joke about that. Like, she's never around when that happens, and it's always my kids, and she's always laughing. But no, probably every week or so that we're at the mall or we're out and about, and I'm shaving. We'll be getting ice cream somewhere or out and about somewhere, and someone would be like, "Oh my God, can I get a picture?" And I'm always happy to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, with fandom, there's that, the certain levels. You have your Star Wars, you have your Star Trek. Now, myself being a former athlete, you hit that pinnacle when you have your own trading card. Now, when it comes to fandom, you really hit that mark when you have your own action figure and your own video game. What was it like to be able to see your action figure the very first time?
I remember exactly where I was. I remember exactly how it played out. I was in a Target, and I had not gotten, they hadn't given me them yet. We hadn't gotten them released to us yet. But they're like, they're now available at the stores. And so if you want to go see them, just go to the store, because they hadn't gotten us our personal ones yet. So I went to the store, and I'll never forget, I'm sitting there, and there's a lady standing right where you are, and she's looking at the characters, and Kevin was there, and Michael, and me, and Dan. Just the 4 guys had the characters with their faces. And she's looking, I'm sitting there looking, going, oh my God, I got an action figure. And she's staring, and she goes like, she sees me looking, she goes, so which one should I get? I don't know, my kids love the show. I see 4 different kinds, which one should I get? And I'm like, I get the red one. She goes, oh, why? I go, because it's me. She goes, oh my God, because you've got to come over to my house. You have to come meet my kids. And I can't, I'm sorry, I can't do that. But so that was the story. She was there, and anyway, so that was the story. But that was pretty cool to see that for the first time.
I read recently you were doing a Bat in the Sun production with some of the other Ranger guys.
Yeah.
Can you say anything about that?
Yeah, you know what? I really, really like this one. There's been some attempts to make an after a Power Rangers spin-off that's not Power Rangers. There's been a lot of attempts to do it. I think that there's a huge fan base that would, if done right, really like this. Bat in the Sun, for those of you familiar with them, check them out on YouTube. They've done some amazing work on, Batman versus Predator. Was it Predator? I forget. They do a lot of different stuff, and they're really, really good at creating these. Darth Vader versus? Anyone know? Darth Vader versus Batman, right? They do a lot of these things. These guys are amazing filmmakers. Aaron and his father, and they partnered with Jason David Franklin in a lot of projects. And finally, him and Johnny Young Bosch said, "Hey." They literally contacted me 5 days before, "Hey, we need you to come on set. We need you there for this project we're doing." I'm like, "Cool, I'm there. What are we doing?" So, and they created this trailer, which you guys are going to love and you're going to see very soon. And I don't know what the script is going to be yet, but they've got plans to make something that's involving a handful of Rangers in some sort of a thing after. So, I haven't seen the script either. I just know it's in very good hands, and these guys are going to make something happen. So hopefully this is the Power Ranger fan film that everyone wants to see, that will be designed for an older audience.
Are you familiar with the comic book and the right now there's the Shattered Grid? There was the video game Battle for the Grid.
Yeah.
Jason David Frank. Are you familiar with that at all? Because I know
a little bit.
The time he's going through time and trying to eliminate all the Rangers. Do you know anything about that and your impressions on that, or?
I don't. I know that the Shattered Grid, I became really close friends with Kyle. Yeah, it's really cool what they're doing. And I know Aaron Cahill played a good role in that. And anytime you have the time travel, it automatically, creates opportunities for the Time Force season, because we can be there for all that.
You
right?
guys aren't in there, unfortunately. But I've heard that they were talking about adding the Red Rangers, so.
Well, I hope they do, but I don't, I mean, if I did know and couldn't tell you, I guess I couldn't tell you, but I honestly could tell you I have, at this point, no participation in it, but hopefully will, yeah. But it's pretty cool. I mean, that thing wasn't it the #1 comic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's killing it. It's fantastic.
Now, I understand you also work with Aaron Cahill again with Resident Evil.
Yeah, we did that. Yes, I got her that audition. So when you see her, you remind her of that. But no, she's a wonderful actress, and she booked the part on her own. And but we spent 3 weeks in Japan filming Resident Evil Vendetta, which was really cool. And it's cool to be a part of that whole Resident Evil fandom, because everybody loves that video game. So and Leon Kennedy is an iconic figure in that franchise. So I was fortunate to get to play him. But yeah, we did Vendetta together, which was shot in Japan.
No, that is another huge franchise. Like going from one huge franchise to another huge franchise. Now, working with her again, were you able to see any kind of differences in Erin now versus Erin as Power Ranger?
Yeah. I guess I've it's like I know Erin so well. I've spent so much time with her that like you just see her and that's E. You just know her as E. So, her character Claire was kind of like a lab rat, kind of a nerdy scientist type who's thrust into this zombie world and end of the world scenario, whereas Jen was a very, very strong character. So the two characters were very different, and she's a very good actress. So, just I guess it's good, interesting to see a different side, But the mocap stuff is fun. That stuff is filmed just like a movie. They film that stuff, and it's the same exact process, but like you get to do it more like a play, because there's cameras all 360 around like a high school basketball gym. So everything we do, there's cameras all around. So if we're talking here, or talking there, or talking there, the cameras are getting it. So we can just play it out like a play. It's pretty cool.
Is there any memorabilia you have from the season of Time Force that you kept for yourself other than the helmet?
Well, the helmet's just a remake.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one here, I have a couple. This one I bring with me on the road because it's so sturdy, and sometimes they make you check your bags on smaller planes, and this thing can't break, and sometimes if little guys hold it in case it falls. So this is just a remake of it, but the real helmet, no, the only thing I got was my morpher from the show.
Really?
Yeah, they were very specific, and I'm surprised they haven't all these seasons created some sort of a museum, because it would have been, it's a pretty cool thing to do. But if you come to Power Morphicon, they've got a lot of stuff up. They're really starting to, but they only gave us, I think after Jason David Frank left the season, he was just grabbing stuff. He just takes what he wants. He has that liberty. We don't. But so by the time they got to us, they're like really watching us, and guys, don't be a problem. Don't take anything. We're going to give you certain things, but just don't go that route. And so we were all playing by the rules. But yeah, I think even when Jay comes back, he just grabs. I think they just let him.
Now, have you ever had any issues bringing do you have anything to declare? I have my Power Ranger helmet. You have any incidences of that happening with your travels?
What happens a lot is the Time Force badges that some of you have seen in my thing. Those things have those prongs in the back, so they always go through security and it lights up. So, they always go in there and they see it and they're like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's just like a badge." And I always think at some point they're thinking I'm like selling fake police badges or something, So I always explain, and they're just like, "Oh, wow, that's so cool." So once that comes through, everybody, if they're not an immediate fan of the show, they all know the show, and everyone always thinks it's a cool thing. So, and then they'll see all this, and yeah.
Next time you just have to say it's morphin' time, and then see how they react to that, and if you can make it to your destination afterwards.
Exactly.
So,
kind of that last question, were there any props you wish you could have kept from the show?
My suit and my helmet. That would have been it. They gave us our clothes that we wore every day, but Wes, they had us in the same outfit most of the time, because they always wanted to identify with the younger guys, the younger kids. They wanted to know that Wes was this guy. So I was so sick of wearing that same outfit every day, the khakis with the red button down. So that was the last thing I wanted, but they gave us those. And but the helmet and the suit would have been cool. I would have liked to have had the original one. And when I went back to New Zealand to film, they just got them. There's like 10 of them. They're just all there, and I'm just like, oh gosh. And Jason's like, just grab one. I'm like, no. But they had them all remade, And then once you get out there, they retailored me for it. We were supposed to wear them in the 25th anniversary, but somehow something got changed, and we were begging to wear them because we just know they're great for pictures and conventions, but it didn't work out. Yeah.
Now then, I do have to put you on the spot here with the gathering of the Red Rangers. In your opinion, who is the second best? We know who the first best is.
The first best,
Who's
yeah.
the second best Red Ranger?
I think you always have to go with Jason David Frank, because he was the Red Ranger for a bit. What season was that again? Turbo and Zero, yeah. So you got to go with Jason. I think I'm as close to him as anybody. Not in Time Force season, so probably go with Jason because he's been with so many different, He's been, I think, virtually every color, right? White, green, red, black. White, green, red, black. Anything else?
No,
yeah, just those.
Blue or pink or yellow.
Yeah. He should. I should tell him to do that. That would be funny. I've always wanted to do that. You just start tell Nakia to bring her suit. We just start up on the thing and it's slowly going up, and you see the yellow outfit. Then suddenly you turn and it's me, and you're like expecting someone else. But that'd be funny if he did something like that.
Yeah, I think he can have their own Power Ranger team with Jason David Frank only. He'd be the Rainbow Ranger.
Playing every Ranger at the same time.
Yeah.
The magic of Hollywood.
Yeah.
He could do it more for in the 25th anniversary.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can get Jay to do it. We'll get in the white and yellow, and we'll slowly pan up with some real good music, and then we just turn and it's us.
Do you think the West-Eric relationship was a very good one to show on Power Rangers? Because it was like a respectful, but he doesn't like you, but you try to befriend him type relationship?
I think that was one of the best relationships that the show's ever done. And I'll tell you why. Because Eric and Wes, there's so many parallels in life with that relationship. He came from a very low-income family. He came and fought for everything. And I came from a very privileged family. But yet we became one and the same. We became friends. We created this mutual respect despite coming from different sides of the tracks. And at the end, respected, and the relationship really cultivated. Because I think in the beginning, he just hated everything that I was. And I was always trying to garnish his respect and figure out who I was, because I was never really comfortable with my wealth and where I came from. And I think at the end, these two characters came together with very different backgrounds and found that common bond. And at the very end, Eric saved my life, right? So I thought that relationship was really well done. And at the very end, I'm taking over my dad's police force, and Eric's going to get ousted, and I bring him in as my right hand in command. So at the very end, I, save his job and what he's doing. So I think that relationship was really well done, and I'm glad they had it. And they casted him perfectly for that. Because Eric is Dan. That's Dan. Even at the shows, he always does his own thing. That's his thing. Yeah.
What was your favorite set for your season, or any other appearances you've done?
My favorite set? I think the clock tower, where they made the clock tower. That thing was really well done. Every little nook and cranny in that thing was. We filmed next to the Jag series, and that thing was just. They had the upstairs, like it was usually in movie making. It's all kind of just like a wall like this they put up, but that thing was just so well done. Everything in there. So I think the clock tower was pretty cool. Yeah.
So, Forever Red. So the Machine Empire, the remnants of them, they're on the moon. I think the moon. Where did they film that? Or was that on a soundstage or green screen or?
We filmed that out in Palmdale, California, which is out kind of like it's more deserty out there. Palmdale?
That makes sense.
I forget where we were, but it was out more northeast of LA. It was quite a drive, like 45 minutes to an hour outside of LA. And I think it was just kind of a desolate area, so that's where that was, yeah. But it was all desert, and then they green screened the stuff. They threw those green screens up. Yeah.
So then a kind of a more random question for you now. So you're the Red Ranger. You're the Red Time Force Ranger. You have the ability to go back in time, not to fight evil, to become involved with anything that influenced you as a child. It could be pitching for the New York Yankees. It could be being the voice of Duke in G.I. Joe. What would be your influence as a child that you would go back to become part of?
In my real life?
In your real life.
Oh, wow. You're going deep, huh?
Oh, yes.
What would I go back to? Oh, man. I don't know. I had a pretty good life.
The difficult questions.
I had a pretty good life, to be honest with you. I've been very, very blessed. I had one of my best friends that passed away. I might go back and spend some more time with him. Other than that, I've been, my family's alive, so maybe that.
Now then, moving forward, what is it that you are working on now? What is it that you're looking into pursuing?
I have a couple of projects coming out. Hopefully, a movie called Honeymoon in Paradise that I filmed in the Caribbean. That hopefully comes out. I'm not sure that's going through. It's taken a while for that one, but that's coming out later in the year. Beast Out of the Water came out on Amazon Prime maybe a month or two ago. I'm proud of that one because I got to play a real good villain, nasty guy. So Beast Out of the Water I would check out on Amazon Prime. Steve Cardenas is in it as well. They got a couple of wrestlers in there, and what was the other one they just did? Oh, and then ELE, Extermination Level Event. That is a pilot that I filmed in Canada near Ottawa. That was filmed in one shot. So that was a 45-minute pilot that we filmed with no cuts. So that was something I was very proud of as an actor. That took me forever to learn 45 pages of dialogue. But so ELE, Honeymoon in Paradise, and then Beast Out of the Water are a few things coming up, and then we'll see what happens next. You never know.
How difficult is it to film 45 minutes straight, one cut?
Very hard. Very hard. And the other actors, the way that they did it, we hadn't met until a week before shooting. And then we filmed on a nuclear war bunker in Canada, up in Ottawa, which is where the Prime Minister would go in the event there was a nuclear war. And it looks like a big maintenance garage. And then when you go in there, it just goes down into an entire universe underground. And so we filmed down there, and the cameras follow me through the day in the life of this general, where there becomes a nuclear, situation, and the world is getting shut down, and we don't know if it's a Russia thing. It ends up being some sort of an alien thing, but there's this, they're releasing the codes to drop nuclear bombs, but then we lose touch with everybody, and they're not sure what's happening. We're all underground, and then the codes are saying to bomb the White House and the Pentagon. But we're like, wait, it's telling us to bomb our own people. So what's happening right now? So it's a ton of confusion. It's a very involved script, but it was 45 minutes of nonstop, no cut. That's their thing. That's kind of their niche, is to do something that doesn't stop. So hopefully that the world gets to see that, because I was really proud of that one. ELE.
It's called ELE?
Yeah, Extermination Level Event, but ELE, and hopefully we'll have that thing out there soon.
That's awesome. We have a few minutes left. Anyone else with more questions?
You said that you had played in some soap operas. What soap operas did you ever play in?
Passions and Port Charles.
Okay, now I remember you in Passions.
Passions.
When I was sick with my mom. That makes sense.
Yeah, Passions was, there's two roles that they're always the ones that got away. Passions was one of them. Jesse Metcalf got the main role. There was down to a handful of us. And then Jesse got the role of Miguel, and he went on to have some good success for a while. So that was one role that I always look at and go, dang, that would have been nice to have done that. Because I was only at Passions for a brief moment of time, but it was for a 3-year contract on it. So, and then in Wedding Crashers, I read for the role that Bradley Cooper got. Yeah, and so he got that, and that was the other one where I saw Bradley go on to do some great things, and Wedding Crashers would have been awesome, because that became such a cult favorite, He was the bad guy against, Vince Vaughn. So those are the two that I always think about. But Passions was my first real opportunity for something cool. And that was before Power Rangers. That was back in '98. A long time ago.
Last question, sorry.
Yeah, buddy.
This might seem silly, but I heard a rumor that the morphers, for all the seasons, were toys. Is that true, at least for Time Force?
It is.
Okay.
My morpher is the exact morpher that I've seen some of you wear. Yeah. My morpher can do more, but that's just because of the CGI. But yeah, it's the exact same one. Yep.
How many times did you drop props and whatnot? for like morphing and other?
Wow, there was always stuff that happened. Yeah, there was always mistakes and falls and things. We had a good time in our season. I think more than anything else, what was always fun is because Deb, she was like, we always called her like a baby giraffe because she was just all arms and legs, you know. And so like her fighting and kicking a lot of times that she just wouldn't know how to like cut the kick off close enough when we did do stuff, and you know she'd crack a stuntman in the face and you could hear her behind the thing go, oh. And she's like, Deb is so sweet. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. So there was always stuff like that happened. But dropping props, boy, I mean, things happen, but nothing's coming to mind right now. But there was always fun things that happened on set.
All right, so then I do have one last question for you. So something so huge, being the Red Ranger. Mm-hmm. What has been the most rewarding part to you about being involved with Power Rangers?
Well, this will sound like a contrived answer, but it's very true. When you film Power Rangers, you're on the show, and it's funny because you film half the season before the first episode airs. So back when we did it, I remember you're a Power Ranger and you're filming, and you've been filming for like 4 or 5 months, but the first episode hasn't aired yet. So you're running around in just complete obscurity. Nobody knows who you are. So then the show airs finally, but it's always like a 4 or 5 month drag behind. So by the time the show airs, 4 months later, it was a 9-month shooting schedule. You're already off the show. So you didn't really get much time to like be the Red Ranger or enjoy that, because the second you're off, Ricardo came in, the next guy came in. So for me, the most enjoyable part about it is that when these conventions started, which I didn't start doing until about a decade after I finished, and now Power Rangers had this huge resurgence, Time Force has had this huge resurgence, and now we're going all over the world and meeting fans. It's meeting everybody. And you hear the stories of how you've impacted lives, people who are maybe going through a tough time, you know, loss of family members, and the show got them through it. And so for me, that's what has been so cool, is to realize, you know, the impact that you made on people that you had no idea at the time was happening. So it's now. It's right here. This is the most enjoyable part.
Excellent. Thank you so very much for your time here. Everyone, Jason Faunt.
Guys, thank you. And guys, I'll be over there all day, so if any other questions come by, I only bite every third person, so feel free to come by. Just make sure you space it out. But yeah, come on by if you have any more questions. I'd love to meet you. All right, guys, thank you.